for some
Oh
reason
my
I can't hear all of a
goodness.
sudden. I mean,
Oh
I
my
can.
goodness. So is it, okay, maybe
It's my audio.
is it
It sounds like my
audio?
audio. Now I got
Oh,
it.
whatever you just did at work. I can hear you. I see the
I'm ready,
crown is
girl.
blinging. I see you ready. Well, you know what? There's a lot of hearts flying left and right. There's so many people that absolutely love you. I'm going to go ahead and get us started because there's so much I want to talk to you about because you're just so amazing. Again, if you're now just joining us, I am Vera Morris with Beauty Queens Galore, the pageant resource, and I'm super excited to say that today we're going to talk about to Krisdee, I love your name, Clark, Mrs. American 2022, the Mrs. American 2022. That is you. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you don't mind sharing, tell us a little bit about yourself.
There's a lot to tell there.
The crown.
As you know, we've had so many discussions. And I had such a great time with you at New York Fashion Week. That was like my favorite thing in the world. I just loved it. But, okay, so I'm Krisdee Clark. I am a mom of 2 and 3, what I call my bonus babies, my bonus kids. They're my step kids. One's in college, and then 2 twin 10-year-olds. So we have the 10-year-olds every other weekend, and then my kids are here most of the time. And Annabelle, my daughter, is 12, and my son is 8. So yeah, so I'm a mom with a full house and a husband who is a lieutenant colonel in the Army and absolutely amazing. And I'm a daughter and a sister and a really good friend, I think. And I'm the director of corporate affairs for the largest hospice and palliative care in the Southeast. That's it. That's it, girl. Oh, wait.
That's it?
Wait, I'm a cancer survivor. Oh, and I broke my finger. Look at this. I'm also a ninja warrior mom. Listen, Friday night, while y'all were having fun, I was at the ER because I was doing Ninja Warrior at the trampoline park with my son. It got my hand caught in the chain. This part of my finger went this way, and this one, yeah, that's me. I know.
You know what, Krisdee? You know what? You wouldn't be you if that did not happen. But you know what? You rocking it. I'll give you credit. I think you need to bling it out, just a little bit. But hey, you're a trooper. You stuck it out. You did your thing. So let me ask you, how did you
really
start?
Funny question, because I have one of those stories that is not like a lot of people. I am not a pageant girl, and I kind of am sad that I wasn't, because now I love it so much. It's like I feel like I missed out. I did my first pageant when I was 14. My family had moved to Wisconsin for a short time. My dad was transferred, and I was sort of having a hard time being there. Just new surroundings. So my mom was like, "You should do the Miss Teen Wisconsin pageant." And I was like, "Sure, why not?" I mean, I didn't know really anything about it. I had the best time. The girls were absolutely lovely. It was so sweet, but it was kind of when I was a semifinalist, and it was one of those things that I was like, "Huh, that was fun." It just sort of went on with my life. Never really thought anything of it. I was a fast pitch softball player, so I sort of put all my stuff into that. Didn't really think anything more of pageants. Although I always loved being girly, and I loved, the bling and all that stuff, but just kind of went on. And then it was through breast cancer 3 years ago. Actually, 3 years ago, 2 days ago was 3 years of my, what I call my survivorversary, because I don't like saying cancerversary. So it was the day that I had my double mastectomy and cancer was gone. And so that is really thank you. And that's what really catapulted me into doing the Mrs. South Carolina pageant, and then going on to Mrs. American. So really, this is something that was new to me.
Wow. Well, you know what? Like I said, I wore some pink today because, I had to represent my girl. Because, we hold that near and dear to our heart. And we're definitely going to talk about about that. But you mentioned something about when you started pageantry and you hate that you didn't, start sooner.
You know,
so do you feel like there's the right time to start
say
in
that
pageantry?
because I can't speak to what it would have been like as a teenager. I hear great things about it. But then there's that whole, like, people have, everybody who hasn't been in it thinks that it's terrible. So, I can't say whether or not is a right time. I think what is a right time is when you have something to give. Because for me, there's a big difference between having a purpose and just wearing a sash. And anybody who can can do great in an interview and can look beautiful in a gown. There's many, many women and girls that are like that. But I would encourage women that the right time for pageantry is when the crown and the sash mean something to you and you can put in the work. Otherwise, you're just someone who wears the sash.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. It's about working, and having that purpose. And for you, what a journey you have. And I have to thank you again for sharing your breast cancer journey with my Treasure Your Chest blog. That meant the absolute world to me because you know how much of an inspiration you are to me. And I absolutely love the name of your platform, The Pink Crown. And I love the meaning behind it.
So my platform is called The Blonde Bombshell. And it's really funny because when I first tell people that, you sort of get that look of, really? Like, how conceited are you? And I kind of am glad that it happened that way because you do sort of get that initial look. But the Blonde Bombshell came out of my breast cancer journey. And the reason why it's called the Blonde Bombshell is because my husband always has called me that. I used to rock a really short pixie haircut, and people used to always tease me I look like Tinkerbell, and my husband loved it when I had that really short hair, and he always called me the Blonde Bombshell. He always said I had Hollywood hair. And so, and then I kind of did the bob, now I've got these fun extensions, and I've just sort of always been this blonde, sort of loved it. I love Marilyn Monroe. I love anything with bombshell type of deal. But it stemmed from my husband. And as I was going through my cancer diagnosis, I really wanted to empower women because the one thing that I noticed was that there wasn't a lot of information out there for women on the journey itself. We have a lot of statistics, we have a lot of wonderful research, and we have a lot of this is sort of what happens, but there's nothing, or what happens after, but there's no journey. And that was really hard for me because I'm one of those people that I have to know everything. And you know that. Like when I was talking to you, like it can be anything from tell me about yourself. Like I want to know every detail. My husband has had to learn how to talk with me because I'm like, he'll say, I had a great day at work. And I'm like, whoa, back up. What does that mean? Like I want the details. And I just love details. And so for me, that was a really big deal that I would, I couldn't get the details of chemo, of radiation, of anything like that. So I started a blog to journal for myself so I would remember the journey. As crazy as that sounds, you forget so much stuff. I wanted to remember the journey, but I also wanted to help other women because so many women helped me. So I would get bits and pieces from people. And I thought, what if we had one kind of place that people could go to? And so that is how the Blonde Bombshell came to be. It was a journaling for me, and it was a platform where I was having women reach out to me from all over the world. I remember the very first time somebody reached out to me from like Ireland, and I was like, holy cow, like this is helping, this is global, like this is fantastic. And it meant so much to me because I know how I felt. And so my husband was out working in the yard, which is funny because he doesn't really do that very often. But he was out working in the yard that day, and I went out there and I said, so I have this platform, and platform sort of goes with pageants. What would you think if I did the Mrs. South Carolina pageant? And he had just come back from a year-long deployment. And I remember he was like doing something in the bushes, and he literally like turned to me, he's like, I think that's a great idea. I think you should do it. And I was like, okay. And I really did it to get the Blonde Bombshell platform out to more people. I didn't get it thinking I would win the crown. I definitely didn't get it thinking I would be Mrs. American. It was truly because my purpose was given to me. I was like, God is giving me my purpose. This is it. I need to get it out there. And however he uses it is how it will happen. Maybe it's with a crowd. Maybe it's just to be up on stage and maybe I'll have that one person. But that's what started.
Well, I think that I've literally read it several times, and I encourage everyone to read it. And regardless if you've been through breast cancer or not, you really feel like you're there. And I love how you shared how you got over all this trauma. You got through it. Humor. I mean, you already know. I think you're hilarious.
Our text messages are hilarious.
Every time we chat, it's like laughter. But I mean, they're hilarious. And it's because I see that through every piece of that journey, you found humor, there was grace, and the advice you gave, if I was in that situation, I would feel comfortable because you gave me all the tools I needed. And the biggest piece that I really want to share, because I feel like this is so important that a lot of women need to understand, is being able to advocate for yourself, being able to ask for that second opinion. And you did that on several occasions. And if you don't mind, do you mind just sharing that? Because I feel like that's the biggest piece that women need to
live in South Carolina, and we have MUSC down in Charleston, and in Columbia. I live in the capital city. We have lots of resources. And that was one of the things that occurred was, so I had my mammogram and I had my biopsy within like a week, and my husband's deployed at the time. And so when I got the cancer diagnosis, my dad came into town because he just was like, I should be here. And we didn't really think, honestly, I didn't think it would be that. I was like, no, it's not going to be that. And I was in the bathroom. I think it was in the morning time, and I was putting on my makeup or something. And she called, and I'd been waiting for the nurse navigator's call. So I was really anxious. And I said, okay. And she said, it is breast cancer. And I remember being like, there's no way. And the crazy part is that is the moment that changed my entire life. It truly changed the trajectory. It changed how I felt about things. I was a totally different person, and not in a necessarily a bad way. It was just those words, you have cancer. No one can really, I had to tell, at that time I had a 5-year-old, I was like, I've got to somehow explain this. I didn't know what stage it was. I didn't know if it was in lymph nodes. I didn't know even what that stuff meant, and so they were like, well, that's okay. You're just going to be put into the system, and you'll come in tomorrow, and you're going to meet with the surgical oncologist. And I was like, well, wait. What surgical oncologist? Oh, we put you in with this doctor. And I went and I did everything. I was a widget in the system. And I went to that appointment, and I was sitting there, and I'm getting these questions answered, and I had what that surgical oncologist kindly referred to as my entourage with me. And it made me feel extremely uncomfortable just because it was like irritating to him. Well, if I wanted to take, the entire town, I should be able to. And we're right at the beginning of COVID at this time. So people were getting a little strange with people coming in anyway, but people could still at that time come in with me. And I got some of the questions answered. I was just sort of sitting there. It felt very surreal. It didn't feel like I was even in the moment. I knew my family was with me. I knew my husband was on the phone from the Middle East. And I was just like, this is happening. And my kids are at school, and this is so strange. And I hadn't told my work or anything. So I knew in that moment he wasn't the right fit. And I just wanted to get out of there. And it wasn't a cancer diagnosis. It was him. And he's probably great for some people, but he was not great for me. And that's what I had to realize, that it didn't make him a bad surgeon. It didn't make him a bad doctor. It just made him not the right one for me. And so I, as my sweet friend Sloan, who was on earlier, likes to say, long story longer, I know, isn't that fantastic? She's so great. And so I went to Charlotte. I got into an appointment in Charlotte. My husband helped. So he's and when he's not in the Army or playing Army, like I like to tease him, he works for Ethicon, which is a Johnson & Johnson company, and he's medical device. So he knew somebody, and he talked to them, and they said if it were my wife, I would take her to this plastic surgeon. So I backed into it. I went to what is the best plastic surgeon. And because what I found out and didn't know and write about in my blog is if you have the best plastic surgeon, they work with the best surgical oncologist because it gives them the best results for reconstruction. And most people do the opposite. And so I ended up with a phenomenal surgical oncologist up in the Charlotte area. And the best part was when I walked out of talking to my plastic surgeon, I had this smile on my face and was like, this is it. I felt hope. I felt like I could do this. I felt empowered. And that is what allowed me to handle it with such grace. Like that was my thing. I said, I'm going to handle it with grace. And I really feel like I did. Doesn't mean I didn't have my moments. It doesn't mean that chemo and things weren't hard. But I thought it doesn't matter. I've got to do it this way because this is it. This is my legacy. If I'm here at the end, then it's my legacy I get to carry on. If I'm not here at the end, then it's my legacy I leave.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good thing, and I appreciate you sharing that. I feel like, you know, it's already a lot going on. It can be scary, and especially if you've had a doctor that you've seen for a long time, you know, and sometimes it can be hard to say, hey, can I get a second opinion? It's right. Not about you. It's to be honest, it's about me and my health and my well-being. So I appreciate you sharing that story. And so hopefully maybe somebody's listening can feel that comfort. You know,
sometimes it may be a second opinion and you go back to the first. You just feel, you know, and that's okay. But you don't have to be a widget in the system. And I think they do it to be good. Like they do it so that you just sort of don't have to think about things. But they miss that some people aren't ready for that and they need that additional opinion or that additional thought.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you went into pageantry. I just love that. So tell me why the Mrs. American system? Why did you choose?
That's a really good question. So I grew up here, and in the South, pageantry is huge. And so even though I wasn't really involved in it as a young girl, I always appreciated it and I loved everything about it. And so there was a lady here that actually owned a dress store who was a Mrs. America, South Carolina America at one point. And I always thought it was really cool. So I always knew about the system and I always appreciated it. And so to me, it was just the next step. I knew of women that had done it. I loved some of the women that had been in this system. And it just seemed like a good fit for my platform. It gave me a chance to be able to talk about a platform. And it was just something that I was like, you know, if I was with my husband being military, it was just kind of the America system, Mrs. America Inc. system that just appealed to me at this time.
Well, I think that's great. And I know the Mrs. American system is newer.
Yeah, so
from the Mrs.
David
America
and Elaine Marmel,
explain that a little bit? Love.
David has passed, but Elaine is my director, and she's absolutely fabulous. It's just the sweetest thing in the world. And they had gotten the Mrs. America system, Mrs. America Inc., and they really built the system. They loved it. And they realized that there were more women that wanted to compete. They had lots of women all throughout the United States, married women that wanted to compete. So they were like, well, maybe we should start Mrs. America and Mrs. American and Miss for America Strong. And that's what they did. And so normally in the state pageants, you'll all compete, and then you will crown a Mrs. America, and then a Mrs. American, and a Miss for America Strong. And then they both go on to all three of them go on to Las Vegas pageants the same week. It's called Mrs. America Week. And one day will be the Mrs. America pageant, one day will be American, and one day will be the Miss. And then the winners of the American and America both compete at Mrs. World. So this year, Nicole and I, who is the Mrs. America, and I competed together at Mrs. World. It is. It is.
Oh my God, that is really cool. So there's like two opportunities. I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. So they should look out for that. So speaking of being a Mrs. Title holder, do you think there's certain responsibilities as a Mrs. Title holder?
Of course. I think it kind of goes back to a little bit about what I touched on earlier about wearing the sash versus having a purpose. And one of the things as being more of a newer pageantry lady, I've been able to see things probably a little differently than those who are just sort of in the system and have been in systems. And for me, I noticed that there are a lot of people that compete and then they just sort of compete and go on to the next one or compete, you know, and especially in the miss ones. And for me, I think it's really important that if you want to be a title holder, that there's a purpose behind it for you and that you're doing something with it. It breaks my heart to see people just sort of win, go on to nationals and come back and maybe they didn't win at nationals, but that they don't, then they just sort of kind of quit. And I noticed in the Mrs. America system and Mrs. American system, it doesn't really happen as much. The girls come back and they are still queens. They are still their state queens. And I love to see that. And I think that that is the purpose behind it. I don't think it's to wear something that's shiny on your head. I think you need to be out in your community making a difference. And it can be something small or it can be something really big. But I definitely think that you should have a purpose behind what you're doing.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And as someone who is, as you say, kind of newer in pageantry, and because there's so many different pageants we have out here, and as a pageant resource like Beauty Queens Galore, because we are a huge pageant resource for directors and pageants and makeup artists, all the different resources. What do you want to see more coming from us?
That's a good
in
question.
Terms of a pageant.
Y'all do such a great job, and I love following y'all. I have, and I was so excited when I found out that you were going to be one of the people who does the interviews. It was so they couldn't have picked a better person, honestly. I mean, your love for pageantry and what you have to bring to people and bring to this is such a big deal. I think y'all are doing a fantastic job. I think. A final question, Vera. I say world peace. No, seriously. In all seriousness, I can't think of anything I'd rather see because y'all do such great jobs. I'll tell you what I love. I love going on these types of things and seeing what the winners are doing, who they are as a person. I love that it's more than just a sash and a crown because I'll see some people and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. But then when you read her story, you're like, wow, that's so powerful. I would have never known that. So I love the background. And I'd love to see that to continue because the background of people and what they're doing is when you're like, or you may network with that person and say, oh my gosh, we could collaborate. I love stuff like that where you can collaborate with somebody and do something. You and I did that. I would have never known about your amazing blog with Treasure Your Chest and all the stuff that you do if you and I had not talked about it. And then I was able to be a part of that. And that was a way to get my story out and help people. So I love to know the backgrounds of people and that they're more than just a pretty face.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And let me tell you, so what do you really want to be remembered for?
Girl, you know you got me on my kick now. Okay, what do I... People don't understand that this is you and I like texting, you know, we'll say crazy stuff. What do I want to be remembered for? I want to be remembered for helping others, and that seems so generic, but let me explain. I got into doing this pageant, one of my very first ones, like I said, to help the 1 in 8 women who will be diagnosed with breast cancer. Not to help them to survive. I wish I could, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not an oncologist. I wish I could offer, but what I can offer is hope, and I can offer a different perspective on going through a storm. So it's not that you just have to have been diagnosed with cancer, but it could be any storm in your life that you've gone through. And I'd like to be remembered as somebody who had it's one of my favorite things that somebody told me once. a Goliath in my life, and I was able to find a David within me. And so that's what I'd like to be remembered for, that I am just this small person, somebody who only got to wear this for a year, but I want to be remembered for having fought a good fight.
Absolutely. So I think you pretty much summed up what was going to be my next question, and what does winning look like for you outside of the crown? I think you pretty much narrowed that down, but I think it's a good question just because I think we make the crown. So outside of that crown, what does winning look like for Krisdee?
Yeah, so the South Carolina pageant is coming up, and my year as Mrs. South Carolina was short because I won. I was crowned American, and so that's bittersweet because I love my state, and what a humbling experience to be able to represent your state, and I love that. But being Mrs. American has been the journey of a lifetime, and I want to be remembered as somebody who was more than a crown and a sash, but that wore it well, if that makes sense. I'd like to be remembered for that.
Absolutely. And you certainly will. You definitely will do that. So, we talk about women and pageantry, and sometimes, they like to put us in boxes still in 2023. So let's just say as a woman, you're preparing for this pageant. Do you dress according to your sense of style, or should you dress according to the division of that pageant or the stigma of that pageant? How, as a contestant, should I go in there being dressed for that pageant?
So I love you asking this question, and here's why. Because I am probably, my pageant coach, if he's watching this, is probably on the other end, like, I'm going to kill her. But he also knows me really, really well. I've never been one to be put in a box, and I don't conform to what others think I should be. And I think that is why I've gotten where I've gotten. And the reason for that is because authenticity is far more important in life than what others think. And here's a great example. When I picked out my dress for nationals, I was told to wear white, cream, the typical winners wear white. And I agree with that. I wore that for state. White is absolutely stunning on stage. It's beautiful. But when I saw this baby blue Portia Scarlet gown, I knew that was my gown. I was like, that's it. That's my gown. And I put it on, and I loved it. I just knew. And I had certain people in the organization, not in America, not in my current one, telling me, I don't know if I wear that. It may not look, this style might not, this might not, I don't know, it's blue, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but it's me. It's me. I felt like me in it. And I could not have felt more confident that day if I had been in any other gown. And so never, ever, ever let the dress wear you. You always wear the dress, because the judges might see a dress and think, wow, that's beautiful on her. But what they see is you radiating from that. And so choose wisely. I wouldn't go crazy. In other words, there's a big difference between going so outside the box that you don't look like a pageant person. I think that there are certain things you want to maintain. And your pageant coaches know things definitely, about, like, especially with interview attire, and showing too much cleavage or anything like that. You definitely want to stay with that. But if it's something that you feel that be you, and that might be with a pin, it might be with some earrings, or it might be with a completely different outfit or a different color. But, I wore a jumpsuit at nationals for interview, and I felt so confident. I didn't see anybody else in a jumpsuit, but I didn't run back upstairs and change because nobody else was in a jumpsuit. And I think that's what's important. Be you.
Absolutely. Yes. And you should absolutely always be yourself. At the end of the day, like you said, you want to feel comfortable in it, because if you're not, you can always see when you're not comfortable in something. I mean, it just shows.
Yeah.
And, as far as women continuing this conversation, social media is so big now. And sometimes it doesn't portray the true images of who we really are. Sometimes people portray different things, but we do have a lot of young women that look at that and want to emulate that.
Yeah.
So What's the best advice you can give a young woman that may be struggling with her body type or self-esteem, just based off that?
Um, I just talked with a sweet group of young ladies at a local high school here for their pageant, and it was so cute when I was talking to them because most of them had never, it was a high school pageant, so most of them had never done pageantry outside of that. And it was so cute because they were like, well, how do you do this? Or what would you say, how do you sit for an interview? They have the best questions in the world. And I did a walk like on stage, and they were I think they had like 40 some girls, which is a lot for a high school pageant. And I did my little walk, and they were all like oohing and ahhing. If you ever want to feel good, talk to some high school girls, because you're like, these girls are just so great, I was like, I could just stay here forever. But they were just oohing and ahhing, and they were all different. Some were white, some were black, some were, one was Asian, one had Down syndrome. She was so beautiful, and it just was like, I love that she did this, and that she's like, how courageous, and so with all that, I say that because my advice to any young woman goes back to authenticity. Be you. It doesn't matter anything. Be yourself. If you feel confident and you have a different body type, I am not the typical pageant body type. I've had a double mastectomy, and let me tell y'all, when I went back for my double mastectomy, I went to my amazing plastic surgeon, and I used to joke with him all the time, and I said, okay, say Jessica Rabbit, make me look like that. So every time I go in for my fill up in my expanders, I was like, Jessica Rabbit, that's what I want to look like. So we have this thing going all the time with joking about this plastic surgery and what I want to look like. Well, I'm curvy anyway. I just have always had a more curvy figure. And in the past, that's not what most pageant girls have looked like. They just haven't. And so what I realized, and I think it's getting older, is that that's okay. Because if I'm authentically me, I left it all out there on the stage. And you never know what those judges are looking for that day. And the next day, they may be looking for something different. But be authentically you, because then you can leave and know you left everything on that stage. And that's what matters.
It is all that matters. It's just being your authentic self. And
yeah, it's the courage. It's the courage to get up there. I mean, when I did Mrs. When I went to nationals for American, I did something way outside of the box for my costume. And so, I wore sort of that military look, and I had those huge red, white, and blue wings, and I had the hat, and I asked my husband, I said, I want to salute, but I've got to be able to do it authentically, because I don't want it to look like I'm, not doing, the military justice. And with him being a lieutenant colonel, I was like, so he taught me how to do it. And girl, I felt so good walking out there, and I put my legs together, and I did that salute, and I just felt amazing. And I won for most original costume, which was so good. It was such a great feeling, because I made most of that costume myself, putting it all together. And then somebody in the Ukraine made my wings, and they were phenomenal. But that was authentically me. And I really believe that the reason it got noticed, I have so many people ask me about that costume, was because it was authentic to me. It meant something to my family. It meant something to me. And those are the things that make you stand out as a competitor and as a person. Anything in life, you should be authentically you, because that's what makes you beautiful. It's who you are.
Absolutely. Always be you. I absolutely love that. And being you is why you're in the position that you're in, because like I said, you're an extraordinary woman. And, what's the greatest advice that you think you've received thus far, Krisdee?
The greatest advice? That's a good one. Advice is hard. I think and the reason I say that is because the older we get, I think people don't tend to give advice as much anymore. And so like at work and things like that, you don't really have as much advice. You just sort of have these life lessons. And I think that the thing that was told to me about the Goliath and David within you, that was always really important to me. And most of my advice, I'll say, most of my moments that I take from, I'm a Christian, and I take most of my things biblically, and it served me well this long. And so I would say that one of my favorite things is from Queen Esther, when a queen herself, who said, "For such a time as this." And I think that applies to so many women, no matter your religion, no matter what you believe. You know, here is this woman who was not a queen and rose up to save her people once she became one, and knew that she was sacrificing for that. And she said, but perhaps, or actually it was her uncle who said to her, "But perhaps you were born for such a time as this." And she changed the trajectory of a nation. And it was only by her boldness. And so I would say the best advice is from Queen Esther, which is be bold. You were all born for such a time as this. What is your purpose? What is your time?
You see why, y'all? I love this woman.
You're so sweet.
You're so inspiring. I mean, it's
the best advice I got was at New York Fashion Week when Vera told me, "Don't fall." There was that too.
That was my own advice. Okay, work it, but just don't fall. So, Krisdee, I have to ask you this. I mean, before I let you go, because I got a little more with you, but I have to ask this question because you know how quickly a pageant journey can change, and we all know how you can hold the hand. It's you, the last two standing. You're holding hands, and you know you hear that. The MC give that speech about, you know, for any reason, you know, the new winner, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard it. And you had that moment. You were that first runner-up. Mm-hmm. So tell me, where, how, I mean, where were you when you got the word that you were the new Mrs. American?
I was at home. And I was in bed. It was about 10 o'clock at night. And my sweet Sash sisters from North Carolina and South Carolina, which, by the way, if anyone were to ask me what is the most amazing part of this journey, it is without a doubt the sisterhood. And it sounds crazy, but it 100% is. And I absolutely love them. I call them the circle of trust. That's our little name for each other. And we really are. It's this circle of just of core women. And how often do you have that in life now? You know, and so they called me. They were FaceTiming me. I was like, "What in the world? I'm in bed. Like, I'm not answering my FaceTime." So they were like, "Answer your phone," in not such a nice way, and sent out text messages. So I clicked on it, and they're screaming, and they were like, "They've taken pictures down. Have you heard anything?" And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. No, I don't know anything about this." And so the next day, my directors of South Carolina pageant called me and said, "Something's occurred, and you are the rightful winner. You are Mrs. American." And so it was about 40 days before I went to Mrs. World. And it was fantastic. So yes, so I've been able. So yes, so and here's my thing about that moment. I came home from nationals so proud of myself. Truly, I did not leave there wishing any other outcome. I literally, and my family would tell you that. My Sash sisters would tell you that. And I came back so proud to still be representing my state and feeling like I had done it. I left everything on the stage. And that is why I give that advice to people, because I know without a doubt, if you leave everything on that stage, you're good. You will come back feeling like that. And I still was doing things. I was at events. I was at Rotary clubs. I loved representing South Carolina. I absolutely loved my journey. So when that moment came, it was the best cherry on top ever for any story. but it didn't change my purpose and it didn't change my plan. My plan was to still be a queen in every sense of the word that I could. And it was to help women and to empower women to thrive after something like breast cancer. And it was to help with the Victoria's Voice and be an ambassador for them, for Narcan in schools. It was to talk with the governor that I already had done as Mrs. South Carolina, all those things. So being Mrs. American just gave me a national platform to do it, but it didn't change who I was and it didn't change anything else about my purpose.
Absolutely. And see, that's why you're you. You're amazing. That's why I love you so much. Well, you know, I can't let you go without having a little fun. You know, we gotta have a little fun time here.
Good.
And there's this game called
B.
This is this or that. No cheating, Krisdee.
Okay.
You can't have both answers. I might let you slide on one. I didn't let the last guy slide on one. I may give you one. Okay.
I'm ready.
Swimsuit or evening gown?
Evening gown.
Okay. Ooh, sneakers or stilettos?
Stilettos.
Oh, okay. Blush or bronzer?
Bronzer, girl, bronzer.
Natural brows or filled brows?
Filled brows.
She's in the camera. Lotion or body butter?
Body butter. I use lotion every day, but body butter on stage is epic.
I agree with that. See, that's one of those where I'll let you have both.
Body butter is so expensive. I don't use it every day. But that Nivea lotion, that blue Nivea lotion.
It's the best.
It's the
it
best.
makes your skin all shiny. I love that. Okay. Nude or red lipstick?
Nude.
Okay. Dress or jumpsuit?
Jumpsuit. Girl, all day long.
We're jumpsuit girls all day.
At Fashion Week, we had our jumpsuits.
We had our jumpsuits. That's right. Natural glam or full glam?
Full glam, double lash, make me look like I don't look every day. Yes.
Oh, lipstick or lip gloss?
Lip gloss. I like that shiny look.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm a gloss person. Jeans or leggings?
Oh. I love leggings. I love them. They're so cute. I love a good legging. But I'm a jean girl, but they've got to be tight jeans. This whole let's go back to the 90s with your mom jeans, no ma'am. No ma'am. No.
We don't do just the no mom jeans there.
No mom jeans.
Oh, mask or scrub?
Scrub.
Yeah, I like a good
Yeah.
Ooh, long or short nails?
I've got the long kind of going now, but I can't do the Khloe Kardashian long, but I do like a long nail.
Okay. Liquid liner or pencil?
Girl, pencil, because if I wore liquid liner, if I put it on myself, you don't want to see that. Somebody else doing it, liquid liner, 100%. Me, no. I look like a raccoon by the end of the day.
How about a jacket or a hoodie?
Ooh, I do love a good hoodie, but I might say jacket.
I think so. Okay. Ooh, stripes or plaid?
Stripes.
Okay. Curly or straight hair?
Extensions, curly. My bob, sleek and straight.
Which you can rock either one. It's such cute styles. Oh, hairspray or gel?
Ooh, hairspray.
Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer. I live in South Carolina. You can see the lake behind me. I'm a summer girl.
Rain or sunshine?
Wait, what?
Rain?
Oh, sunshine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, chocolate or vanilla? This is a good one.
Okay. This is funny. So I love chocolate, but when I order a milkshake, I order chocolate vanilla milkshake because it's too chocolatey.
I mean, you know what? I'm going to try it and text you and let you know. I've never done that. So
yeah,
I think you're going to challenge all of us to try that because I've never tried that. Okay. Okay. Your last one is East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast.
Of course.
All the way. Come
Carolina
on. East
girls, of course. Now, I'm going to ask you a question that, you know, you talked about talking to teens. These teens asked me this question, and I had never, ever thought about it. So I'm going to ask you the same exact question they asked me.
Okay.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
I said no. I said it's a hot dog.
It's a hot dog. No. These kids these days, they don't know what them. It's a hot dog.
It's fun. I was like, it doesn't matter. It's
but I do
dog.
love a good hot dog. But
okay,
I like
hot
the hot dog
burger.
Like, you know how they used to cook them like a long time ago on like the rotisserie? You know what I'm talking about? They would be sort of like black. That's the kind of, like at a ballpark dog.
Yeah. So thanks to you, I'm probably going to have a hot dog with a vanilla and chocolate shake for dinner. How about that?
I see somebody put body butter with a question mark. You need to try body butter. It's amazing. Your skin has never felt better unless you get the Nivea regular lotion blue bottle. Nivea used to send me a bunch of lotion now that I promoted.
Here's your new sponsor. Here's your new ambassador, Nivea. And I do agree. It really does leave your skin really smooth and nice and shiny.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But Krisdee, I could talk to you forever, and I just can't thank you enough for sharing your journey, sharing your story, and for just being here. And the moral of your story is just be you. Be your authentic self. Live life to the fullest. I encourage everyone to read your blog. Know those 5 points to that pink crayon, because those points are very, very important.
Stand for faith, fearless, being authentic.
That's right.
Inspire, thrive, and honor. So
absolutely.
those are yes. So go to theblondebombshell.net if you haven't been to my blog. And if you know anybody with breast cancer, please have them reach out to me. I love talking with ladies that are going through this and helping them on their journey. And you can laugh through it. And the hard times are hard, but it doesn't all have to be that way. So
tell us what other ways we can stay connected with you, or is there any projects that you're doing right now that others can donate to or follow or anything?
Yes. So I'm going to give you some breaking news, Vera. About to drop my crown. Okay. First of all, you can follow me at Mrs. American Official, which is my Instagram. And the Blonde Bombshell is on there on Instagram as well. But the Blonde Bombshell blog for my breast cancer journey is theblondebombshell.net. But I have the honor of having been asked on Easter Sunday. I will be in Washington, D.C. for that first part of the week. And on Easter Sunday, I am laying the wreath at Arlington National Cemetery for the Tomb of the Unknown. So how humbling and absolutely amazing of a moment for me as Mrs. American. I can't think of anything more American than that. And so beautiful for me and my family as a military family to be able to do that. And I'm just so humbled. So I will be there in DC. And so, yeah, so follow my journey. And I can't wait. We have all these state pageants coming up. So ladies, if you've ever thought of doing a pageant, you are not too old. It is not too late. Get out there, do something you'd never do. You'll never know until you do it.
Absolutely. And also thank your husband for his service. Like my dad, he was in the U.S. Army. He served in the Vietnam War. So I really have a huge heart for vets. And I just tell him, I said, thank you for his service.
He won't be there in August as I give up my crown. So you need to fly out there because he has to be gone for the whole month of August for the Army. So you're going to have to fly out, Vera, and keep me company.
I have to keep you company there. I'm keeping you company in May. I'm going to keep you company in August. I'll be right there with you. So again, you guys, thank you so much, Krisdee. Please be sure to follow her journey. She is an absolutely amazing person. Thank you again so much, Krisdee, for joining us today.
See you later.
Bye, Krisdee. Have
a good night. If I can figure out how to get out of this, you're going to have to get me out.
It's okay. There we go. Okay, bye.